Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by our sugar mama, Hattie B's Hot Chicken, here on 104.5 The Zone. Titans team president and CEO Burke Nihill making his debut on the radio show. Not on the station, certainly.
No, not on the station.
I think on the radio
I don't remember
show.
being on the show. Thanks for leading me in with Dave Matthews Band.
Big
Dave Matthews guy?
Big DMB guy.
I am a big DMB guy.
Burt, did you know this? Because Burke has famously bribed you with dirt.
Is that the last time you were on the radio station when you gave Burt his dirt?
No, I think I've been on since, but that was a special time.
It was a very special moment.
I remember asking him at training camp, hey, I was going to play Dave Matthews for you. You seem like a Dave Matthews guy. And you went, yes. So I remembered that.
A good read on people, Robert Walsh.
Allegedly. Also, he tried to open that he did open that canister of dirt on the A to Z live stream show that we did the other day, and some compounded gas, I guess, popped up in his face. So, have you cleared the shrapnel out of your eyes at this point in time?
He's still woozy.
That's what you get for trying to eat it, you idiot. So Burke is not here to talk about Robert's dietary problems, but to kind of update fans on where things stand with the new Nissan Stadium. You are just a little over 1 year removed from the groundbreaking, and I know appreciate you inviting media out to tour the site. I've never been on a construction site of any kind, clearly based on my apparel, but much less something to that scale. And I know you spoke to this a lot when we took the tour, but for the audience who hasn't gotten to hear, just the level of progress that you've made in really 8 months when you consider when the concrete started to go in.
Right. Groundbreakings, which we've just passed the 1 year anniversary of a groundbreaking, that's usually pushing fake dirt, right? It's not actually digging the first hole. And so we really got rocking, sometime after that formal groundbreaking. And I mean, it's been impressive. It's been humbling. The consistent approach to showing up on that site every day and doing great work. At this point, we got 850 people on average a day that are showing up and drawing a paycheck on that site and doing awesome work. So as you pointed out, we passed the 1 year anniversary of that groundbreaking, and that means we're about 2 years away from completing the building. And it's at this point we're coming up on the tail end of the concrete truck showing up and building the concourses and reinforcing that first layer of the cake. Next comes steel. Over the next few months, you're going to start seeing more steel showing up. Believe it or not, if you drive by on the highway and see the size of that building, it's probably about half of its height at this point. The steel is going to double the height of the building, and you guys saw it. It's cool to be able to walk that space, to be going from renderings, which are, I think, pretty breathtaking and awesome, but not to stand in this space and actually see something that's taking the shape of a stadium and to watch this thing come to life. It's been a lot of fun.
I'll be honest, I've been a little gun shy with renderings after the whole Nashville Stars thing because
touchy subject around here.
It was fun for a minute, but there's some logistical things that they hadn't quite thought through at the time.
We're 2 for 3 on renderings in Nashville.
Sure
Geodis
enough.
Park has gone up. New Nissan Stadium's going up. Not so much the baseball.
Waiting on that baseball.
But we did get a great glimpse into just the technological advancement of the new stadium right out of the gate based on the adjustable hard hats that was able to fit both of our heads. That was a very surprising development early on.
That can fit your head, bud.
Well, your Buck's head is big figuratively. Mine is much more literal. But you did say after the tour, you talked about making the stadium future-proof, which was interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that word before. How do you define future-proof? And what is that challenge of trying to anticipate what the fan experience is going to be like, not in 2027, but in 2037?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that made a renovation darn near impossible was the fact that the current Nissan Stadium was built to be one thing, and it just got to be an unwise choice to try to make it something else and make it a building that would make sense for Nashville and for the NFL for another 50 years. And so having been a part of all of that analysis, it's been really front of mind for us to say, how can we make sure that this building is one that not only is kind of where the puck's going in 2027, but also can adapt to where the puck may be in 2035 and 2045 and beyond. So, I mean, there's things like the fact that it's an enclosed building helps with its durability, right? So we can start there. But we've made decisions even over the past year to spend more money to make sure that we are creating as much flexibility and as much space as possible to adapt to whatever is the best fan experience, the best player experience, just a building that Nashville can and should be proud of, no matter what trends come along in terms of how people are getting their food and beverage, or how players need treatment before a game. We really are trying to build in as much flexibility and modularity into the building as possible to be able to meet every one of those moments.
Titans CEO and team president Burke Nihill in studio with us. To your point about when you bring up price at any level, fans, I think their ears perk up. And you brought up an interesting note that I hadn't heard about or talked about before, the guaranteed maximum price, the GMP, and how the flexibility that essentially allows you to be able to make those kind of adjustments. If you could expand on that for the audience.
Yeah, it's not a novel concept to our stadium building. Any construction project of a certain scale is probably going to have this GMP, guaranteed maximum price, a part of the approach between the owner of the building and the construction manager, the contractor working on it. The idea is getting to a place as early as possible where you ask the construction manager to lock in, to say, listen, this is what the building is going to cost, but for any of these other crazy things that would come along, so you can then get some level of certainty. And really proud of the work that our team has done. Callahan is our project executive. There's many, many others behind it, where we did everything we could to accelerate that process, get to a place where there's an actual building to be built. We know, the number of doorknobs and door hinges and light bulbs and everything else in the building, to give our construction manager an opportunity as early as possible to tell us this is what it's going to cost. And we reached that milestone last September. So for a big chunk of the building, like it's locked in. We're not going to go over budget in the way that you hear about some of these other buildings going over budget. There are things that we've pulled out of that guaranteed maximum price, that the team has flexibility to do things if we see opportunities to just get this thing right. But for the most part, the building's going to cost what it's going to cost, and we can just have comfort that that's going to be the number.
Mike Borgonzi, when we had him on at the Combine, talked about touch points of the offseason. As far as touch points with the stadium goes, what can fans kind of look to or look forward to as you guys continue to make progress over these next 2 years? Because it sounds like, drought conditions not ideal from a weather standpoint, but certainly beneficial to a construction standpoint.
Great for construction.
Yeah, great for construction. Certainly for the bright, shiny new palace to football that's being built on the East Bank.
Well, and just credit the team for it was snowing and really cold a few weeks ago, and they were safe about it, but the team was showing up, and there were 800 people on those days working too. They're putting in the work no matter the conditions, so long as they can do it safely. So let me answer that question in terms of construction, and then also kind of the fun stuff, the fan stuff. So on the front end of it, on the construction side, as I said, concrete will start wrapping up over the next couple of months. You'll see steel kind of at the same time start to come in and around the building and start going up. By the time we get to around Thanksgiving, we'll get to topping off as a construction term, where you've put the last piece of steel as high as it's going to go. So that'll give you a sense of when we'll actually be at that peak height. Probably by the end of this year, this building is going to look a whole lot like a stadium building. You can already see the shape, obviously, but in terms of its height, some of the facade features coming in. If somebody is going to a Titans game and is on that east side of the stadium, you're going to walk up to a building that's going to look a lot like the future stadium. Sometime next summer, so not 25, but 26 is another big milestone. It's summer to fall, somewhere in there, where we actually get the roof on and it's seal tight. So that translucent, perfectly round roof will be pulled up, seal tight, and then it's go time, because there are things that you don't want to do in a building like this until it's weatherproof. So you're not going to put in all of these seats and let the elements get at them. You'd rather have them be pristine and protected. And there's all sorts of really, really nice features and materials and workmanship that need to go in. And so that can't happen until that roof is seal tight. And at that point, you're going to end up seeing more like 1,600 workers a day showing up and just going to town on all the mill work and everything else. That's the construction side. Of course, completing the loop on that, the building is on schedule to be done sometime late February or sometime in March of 2027. everything is still on pace, which we're really grateful for.
Hell yeah.
On the side where fans are having access, an opportunity to come look at the building and see if they want to be a part of it, we went on sale at Titan's House with PSLs and suites and that sort of thing back in June, and we announced that we'd be doing this in 3 waves. Wave 1, which was our premium offerings, clubs, that sort of thing. The thinking was that would be somewhere between June and probably this February would be about the amount of time that we were on sale with those products. They actually sold out in mid-August. It was really a humbling response. We moved Wave 2 up because of that, and we're in Wave 2 at this point, and we've gotten a very similar response. It's we've had a lot of demand, and so we are now exploring when we can potentially move up Wave 3, which we were thinking was going to be a few months from now, but we're in the process, real-time meetings this week about whether we can move up Wave 3 and give folks in that Wave 3 access to come into Titan's House and take a look. Wave 3 will be the terrace level. Terrace level is the 300 level and 400 level. If you look at the renderings and you see those beautiful terraces up on kind of the upper side of the building, that's effectively the concourse. There's an indoor aspect to it and an outdoor aspect to it out in that terrace level. The 300 level, you'll walk down from that area. 400, you'll take a few steps up. It is actually where my family has purchased PSLs because it's going to be that kind of cool experience up there. Great views of the game and then also access to those terraces.
You know, drunks like me are just thinking, oh, rooftop bar. How about that? Exciting stuff.
Scamper out of the press box.
You know, well, you slide down every once in a while, depending on how the game's going. Burke Nihill in studio with us.
How much correspondence does the team have with the NFL in regards to the timeline and in relation to a potential target year for a Super Bowl in Nashville as we look at 2029 and beyond? How does that work as you guys cross a lot of these touch points, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, we talk all the time. It's there is one executive, in fact, who came up through the event side of the NFL and now does both events and stadium work. And so we became friends during the NFL draft process. We talk about whatever pretty frequently. And so from the moment we were designing this building, his team and others have had feedback in what they think this building should be for Titans games and then also being ready for things like the Super Bowl. So the NFL has been involved and has had input, and we've made changes to the building based on that input from the design phase. In terms of keeping track of where we are in construction and their Super Bowl timelines, yeah, of course we're talking to them all the time about that sort of thing. Anybody who thinks that they know what's going to happen relative to a Nashville Super Bowl, they know more than I do then. The NFL is really tight to the vest about how they handle these things, and the Super Bowl has been awarded through 2028. It'll be in Atlanta in 2028, so 2029 is the next available Super Bowl. We'll absolutely throw our hat in the ring. We think we'll be ready for it. But there's all sorts of factors to keep in mind. I am absolutely positive that there will be a Super Bowl in Nashville, and it will be at the earliest opportunity for the NFL to put the Super Bowl here. They just have all sorts of things they think about. It's not just about whether the stadium's ready or the city's a good place for it. There's other venues who are due an opportunity. They have factors beyond the venue or the hotels and that sort of thing, just being sure that this is the right moment in time. But we're definitely going to be putting our foot forward for 29 and 30 and 31 and just getting it here as soon as we can.
Obviously, the stadium, very exciting, but you want to have an exciting product to put in the stadium, and the work continues to that effect. I know you guys have undergone a significant amount of changes over these last 3 years specifically, and now Mike Borgonzi, Brian Callahan, Chad Brinker, and the powers that be, that conglomeration of people who are tasked with that. From your standpoint, Burke, I wonder, because we hear from them a lot, patience over panic. And as somebody who, I think from our standpoint has been empowered to speak on behalf of ownership, obviously it's still Amy Adams Strunk's franchise and she has the final say-so in all realms. But as when we hear that, we think about it from a team building standpoint and where you guys are. I wonder if you could kind of explain to the fans how you guys at the top end of the organization are thinking about that as we get ready to go through the free agency process and the draft process, and we got quarterback questions and all these different things.
The goal, unquestionably, is to create a sustained championship program, right? There are a few Mount Rushmore programs in the National Football League, and they all know who they are. They go out building their team the right way and sustaining their team the right way, and that's the goal. That's Amy's goal. That's what she's empowered Chad and Mike and Brian to help build. I don't think this is even what you're inferring. There is no pressure from the business side to say, do it this way because we need to be in a hurry. There's a stadium coming online in 2027.
But I think it's important that you say that, whether, I wasn't inferring that, but I think that for the audience, because they're looking at people's timelines and being like, all right, how long do these people in these positions actually have to get this done?
No, there's a sense of urgency to become the program that we want to be, right? And I was a part of the interview process with Mike Borgonzi coming online. I'm very pleased to say I've only seen him probably 3 times since he had his press conference, and that's because they've been in a draft room. You heard them talk about this. I can tell you there were a couple times I needed to overlap with Mike or Chad and ask them a question that was really not incredibly important, but kind of urgent. And I just had to be hanging out in the hallway when they came out of the draft room to go grab a snack before they headed right back
policy.
in. It was real. It was 21, 22 days, including weekends, where they got in there before 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't come out until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night at times. And so they're hard at work doing this, building a culture, building a team the right way, and we're not putting any pressure on them to do anything in particular other than get us to where we need to go, so that we are on that Mount Rushmore of the great NFL franchises and everything we do. I mean, my focus and the business team's focus is on things like fan experience and making sure this stadium is just the most incredible home field advantage and a place that Titans fans are proud of. And it's really something that should carry across every aspect of the organization. But the primary thing, leave no doubt, is we should be awesome at football and consistently awesome at football. And that's the charge that Amy's given those guys. And I'm absolutely confident that they're on the course to doing it. But to your point, there's a way to do this that is proven through this, well-worn phrase at this point, draft, develop, retain, that requires a degree of just discipline and not chasing free agency or making rash decisions in the draft, and just doing it the right way. Amy's completely sold on that concept, and I expect it's going to pay dividends in the long run.
As much as you're comfortable sharing with the audience, because to your point, you were part of the interview process, what kind of set Mike apart from some of the other candidates? Because you guys did, I haven't been very complimentary over the course of the last 9 months, we'll say, but I was impressed with the list of people that you were able to put together and the efficiency that you guys were able to go through the hiring process. What kind of set Borgonzi apart in the 2 phases of interviews that you guys did with him?
One of the words that's come up a few times is complete. I think there were some non-negotiables about who this candidate had to be in terms of experience and beliefs and personality. But then there was a bit of an open mind. There were several different categories, some different types of people who'd fit that GM role. The thing that set Mike apart, he came in and you can just see he had this complete vision that he had developed through his time with the Chiefs. That everyone looks at the Chiefs now and acts as though this was easy, right? You get Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Well, he came into a team that had the number 1 draft pick at some point because they had the worst record in the league. They had to build this. They had to go about it. And he never skipped a step. He was a part of it. It's just deeply kind of who he is and what he believes. And he and Chad ultimately at the end of the day come from this same system, right? They have a lot of the same beliefs because it does tie back to this Packers tree of Ted Thompson and Ron Wolf. And so Mike just showed up with, there's this famous 150-page book. A lot of GM candidates and head coaching candidates will have some sort of materials to show you to say, this is what I'd plan to do. Mike's started with, here's the 2nd day, here's the 3rd day, here's the 4th day on how he would go about bringing his program to the Tennessee Titans. And I'll just speak for myself. I mean, I was mostly just somebody in the room to, be a sounding board and that sort of thing. But I felt in listening to Mike, like the air in the building could change immediately with what he would bring, and it's felt that way to me.
It sounds like he and Brian hit it off immediately, had a lot of the same core principles. But for you guys as an organization, what do you feel like you learned about Brian Callahan through his first year as the head coach, obviously through some difficulties in year one?
Yeah, Brian's a competitor. I think you saw that fire coming out of him here and there. And he is somebody that is as self-aware as from a coaching perspective. He wants to be part of a great NFL program. He wants to be a great head coach. He wants to support his players well. And Brian is competitive with himself in that way. A lot of the conversations I've had with him, which again, it's mostly just as colleagues, but he's talking about that, where we're going and doing a lot of introspection, going through a 3-win team about what was this offseason going to look like that's going to be different than last offseason so that we can be better this year. Brian is a great human being. He's a whip smart football coach. I think the thing that I have personally just observed with him over these 12 months or so is, as a person, he's got that kind of hunger and thirst to be better, and is very self-aware in that way.
All right, now that you guys have asked all the good questions, let me ask an even better one. Burke, you already talked about maybe not getting a Super Bowl by 2028.
The entitlement around here.
But the real Super Bowl, the Super Bowl of wrestling, WrestleMania, could be coming to the new Titan Stadium. Have you had any talks with WWE about scheduling that? When do we know if WrestleMania will be coming to Nashville?
And also, he wants tickets from you.
And can he be
asking.
involved?
Yeah.
I think
he would like to be play a
Stop giving all my
role.
plans away.
Listen, if we can get you in the ring, if it comes here, is that something you'd consider?
Absolutely. You think Bert the Bruiser ain't going to step in there and go off the top rope?
Don't do this. He's already unmanageable.
Hey, I'm gonna be gone in about 5 minutes, and you guys are gonna have to deal with him. Bert, I think I'd ask you to stay tuned. It's definitely. I think there's a great match there between Nashville and WrestleMania. They brought SummerSlam here, loved their experience. Obviously, a new stadium would set up really well for them with WrestleMania. And it's my belief, and it has been my belief, that it's just going to be a matter of landing these planes on the runway between WrestleMania and Super Bowl and Final Four and college football playoffs. You've got to go about this in the right order. They have their bidding windows open at different times. You can't have them all at once. But yeah, I think I'd stay tuned on WrestleMania. I think that's an early possibility.
Looking forward to it.
Burke Nihill, Titans team president and CEO, has been kind enough to spend some of his time with us. God knows he's wasted much of his important time hanging out with the three of us today, but we do appreciate you coming in. And I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this plays out. Stadium, football team, all of it. It's going to be an interesting season and couple of seasons, it feels like, to get to where you guys are trying to get to.
Yeah, the best is yet to come.
Coming up next.